Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of FRR Recap. This week we'll be covering the races around Castellet, France. Unfortunately, due to both no stream on for Tier 2 due to the England-Wales World Cup game, but also the FRR Recap team being stretched incredibly thin this week, it will be a very short episode, especially the Tier 2 segment. So, unfortunately, it's a small episode this week, but hopefully we can come back next week with a larger video again for Barcelona. So, this week, both tiers went around Castellet, a very tricky circuit in its own right. Quite a lot of medium, high-speed corners that, if you get the throttle application wrong partway through, you're round. Complete curveball, maybe not a complete curveball, but we had an absolutely torrential wet qualifying session. There was a lot of interest in laps up and down, but one very notable mention is AMS Tropical. Did absolutely amazing. He had quite a few moments throughout multiple laps, but still managed to stick it on pole by quite a margin. I think he stuck it on pole. What was the gap? Can't see that. I think he stuck it on pole by a few tenths, but I might be wrong. Tier 1.
Pretty sure he stuck it on pole by like 2 or 3.
He stuck it on pole. Oh no, he stuck it on pole by 0.004 of a second.
Damn.
It's the next gap that's quite big.
Than last week.
It's Elite Risks. Elite Risks is 0.004 of a second behind. Elite Risks is going to be kicking himself for that.
If he's only kicking himself for that, I'll be surprised if he won to Galera.
And then it was Filthy Scrubber Dub that was then 0.4 behind Elite Risk. Where did Stocky finish? Wow, Stocky, the Ferrari pair all the way down 7th and 9th. In all fairness, they're on inters on what was a full wet condition track. But yeah, not the best showing. So a bit of a comeback drive.
Castellet is good for because there's going to be a lot of crashes, so you can not risk qualifying as much.
You say that. Castellet is normally not too bad. I mean, it's...
not crashes, spins.
Yeah, spins. Crashes, no. You've got that massive runoff that if you somehow manage to crash, like I quite often do, then you're a special breed of not very competent racing driver.
Have you seen Harrison try race?
No.
We should have a tier 4.
Oh man, poor Silent.
Poor Silent can't even hear to.
It's right. He's not here to defend himself. Oh well, he'll. I'm sure as soon as he hears this, he'll have his own 2 cents on the situation. But as we go into the race, overall, I haven't got that much to say about the race. The only thing I've got to say is there were a lot of really close battles. There were a few spins as a cause of it, but there were a lot of close battles throughout the race. A very notable mention is James and Scruff. Absolutely amazing wheel-to-wheel racing. Went on for ages. Just absolutely brilliant. If you want to go over.
I'll just start from the start of the race. I think you covered qualifying perfectly. We're just going to skip a little. We had a clean start overall, but what I'm going to focus on the lap 1 mainly is chicane down the back straight. We've seen a simultaneously. I cannot speak. What's the word? Simultaneously, with Tropical and Elite spinning into the chicane with that big curb. What is your thoughts on that?
I mean, what they crashed into each other and span, or they just both span on the same curb?
Crash. They hit the curb. They went so aggressively.
What was it? Lap 1.
Yeah, it was lap 1. They went so aggressively over the curb and they just both spun.
Let me have a quick look. Cool. I didn't realise how many close battles there were during the race.
Have you not seen it? I would have expected better for someone who tried to in the first 11 laps.
No, I mean, I have seen it. I've also watched the whole stream, so it's a bit far in my memory.
Okay, we'll get your thoughts on that in a minute.
Into that chicane. Oh, I see.
What do you mean? What do you think I mean by the back straight chicane?
I don't know. There are other I didn't hear you say the back straight chicane. There are other chicanes on the track.
Oh, I said the back straight chicane.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that was.
And you're deaf.
That was quite clumsy. Yeah, there's just. I don't know. It looks as if Tropical maybe tapped the back of the Mercedes.
No, I think I know what happened. I think they were so close, and Tropical couldn't really see ahead of him. And I think he overreacted when Elite spun, which caused him to spin as well.
Yeah, that was just. I mean, I think maybe Tropical might have tagged the back of. Not tagged, but sort of slightly tapped the back of Elite Risks. But yeah, they both just took a bit too much curb and just lost it. I mean, Tropical did well to rejoin in 7th, in all fairness, from 2nd. He didn't lose too much time. Quite a clean 360 there.
One more saying to this, and we're going to move on to the next topic, but Elite spun in Britain as well. Could we see a bit of a reoccurring
a bit of a habit?
Yeah, a bit of a habit starting to form. Hopefully that he can cut that off sooner than later. But I think we'll move on to the next one. Speaking of Elite and 7th place, we have a very good battle on lap 4 with Raza and Elite battling for 7th. I thought that was a very good battle in my opinion.
Yeah, it was. I mean, as I said, there were a lot of really good battles all throughout the race, but there were definitely some more notable ones that just they went on for ages. They were brilliant.
Yeah. No, I'm just gonna put this in now because I've completely forgot about. But what was it? James. Well, I'm very bad with names. I think you know what I'm talking about, though.
What
the AlphaTauri and the Aston Martin.
James and Scruff. That was a very good battle. It was one of the ones that stood out more. It went on for quite a while. Just brilliant wheel-to-wheel racing. I don't think anybody got spun. Just good overall, good race craftsmanship, if that's a word. Race craftsmanship for this week from Tier 1, just brilliant.
Yeah, a bit boring, but you can't. If it's boring, but there was some good racing.
It's France. What do you expect?
Drama isn't always
French listeners. I don't mean that in any disrespect. I just mean the track itself is a bit meh.
I don't think anyone's gonna fight you over that one, so don't worry. On lap 5, we had a face poke spins. Oh, I remember this one. This one I found very funny.
Funny? You found other
either of them. But face poke spins Elite. Oh, I can't remember what corner this was. I remember he tags it.
It's one of those. Well, actually, was that Phase Pope and Elite? That was
Phase Pope. Okay,
no, that's Tropical. Nope, that one. It was lap 5, as you said.
Yeah, I have. Do you not just look in the channels? I have the exact lap written down next to it.
Oh, I thought that was just like your point. Like, oh yeah, this is 0.5. That's
the first number. The ones in the things are laps.
Now I see. Now I see you thinking. I think it was going through scene, was it not?
I think so. I'm not sure. I wasn't looking at the I can't remember corners.
It won't load. Yeah, I think it was going through scene, but it's one of those things. You know, Elite did well to come back. I think. Where did Elite finish?
Elite finished 3rd, I believe.
He did. He came all the way back from being spun and spinning himself a few times to finish on the podium. So it's a brilliant drive from him. Better than Silverstone, arguably. We're not going to go there. That's in last week's episode. If you want to know what happened.
Yeah, we've already covered that. Maybe watch the last episode if you want to hear all about that. But see, I'm just like Harrison. I can put in plugs too.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next one. Scrubadub spins James. I have it down as James, but that's because I couldn't be bothered.
Oh, what?
But James.
Jammy, I think it is.
Jammy James, I think is his username.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those. France is quite
very weird. It was such a. I honestly thought he'd hit the wall. Did he hit the wall? I believe he didn't because it was on.
No, I don't think so. But
it was one of them types of spins where he tags it and he overcorrects the left.
Oh,
he just was flying out to the runoff.
I'm good at those. I'm very good at those.
You're good at running into the walls. So you need to take notes.
I meant I'm good at overcorrecting, is what I meant.
Oh well, you're good at both.
As I said, they sort of go hand in hand. But it's unfortunately France is one of those. France is quite a difficult circuit because you can, especially some of the longer corners, your braking point, especially through scene, you could pick any sort of braking point depending on what sort of line you want to take.
I think since no one's really worried about hitting walls, you can also worry about spinning. But I think it shows the true nature of a lot of the drivers' awareness. Like sometimes you're scared of not hitting, running wide on walls. But all you have to really be aware of is the cars around you on France.
Yeah, that and a track limit penalty.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot, didn't we? We'll go on.
I mean, we see it quite a lot. It's just track limit pens, just standard, really. You know, it's. Yeah. I mean, it's bad when you see. It's bad when you see people rack up 12 seconds, but because that is then 12 track limit breaches. But it is one of those. Track limits are quite difficult. You know, you put that bit too much throttle, you carry that bit too much speed through a corner, and you're just a few mil wide on most occasions, and you get a warning.
Well, France is not going to be a good time for me. I'm foreshadowing that. So when you see 2-2 recap, don't be surprised.
Yeah.
I think me and Moser will have a good experience there.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's going to be a brilliant race. It's going to go so well. I'm going to get my maiden win.
No,
definitely.
No. I'd like to believe I'm faster than you, considering
Not when you pick a Monaco setup. You're not.
I bet you want a Monaco setup because you crashed.
Yeah, but that isn't speed. That's just skill.
Hey, it's skill for me to keep it under control.
It's Monaco. If you hadn't kept it under control, I would have been concerned because the amount of downforce that must have.
Think of it.
Anyway.
There's so many straights on Burton.
Moving on, because we don't want to cover your Monaco setup mishap too much across the next 2 episodes as well.
Maybe we'll go into that later.
Maybe. It depends if you do it again.
This is actually what I'm going to cover now. I think we covered a little bit of a minute ago. But a lot of penalties, in my opinion. How many? Was there a single person without a penalty in France?
I think there was. I think there were a couple. But you know, there were a lot of 5-6, a lot of 3-6. Just 3-sec penalties is just very standard.
I think everyone was getting caught off in either at the last end of the back straight on that big right-hand corner where you can run wide so easily.
How do you run wide there? You don't run wide there. You just.
Because I've seen a lot of people were running top speed setups.
Yeah, you just pin the throttle, steer the car.
Yeah, but some setups were a lot less downforced. We're really focusing on that back straight, I've noticed.
It's normally scene that catches people out.
Yeah.
Scene it's a very undulating corner. It's a bit. a bit all over the place. If you there's so many lines through scene as well, especially if you're battered, and it's quite easy to get track limit pens.
And yeah, we're going to go into the next one, which is no, it's not our final topic because we'll go over it a little bit more. But on lap 15, Hungry Throne gets a 5-second pen. Is a bit of a stinker considering he was in the lead by 3 seconds at the time, I believe.
Yeah, he was in the lead by quite a bit.
Or I'm just gonna jump over that because that's not really interesting. Just a bozo moment from Hungry Throne. Pretty sure he got it for speeding in the pits too, which is even worse. Okay, we're just gonna go over the winner, and I'll go over like one more topic after that. But Stocky won. Like, this is an interesting win. Stocky won, so he's back-to-back race wins, which is great for him in the championship. But Hungry Throne only lost by 0.2, I believe. He wasn't far behind.
No, he was quite close. We have seen a pickup in pace from Hungry Throne especially over the tail end of last season. You know, he finished 2.5 tenths off of Stocky.
Considering he's like, we all know, Stocky is obvious at this point, considering his pace over Britain and France. He's obviously going to be a title contender without a doubt. But Elite's form recently, even though he had a great comeback to France, the spin habits, if he doesn't cut them off soon, and if Hungry Throne steps up his pace, could we see a battle for maybe P2 or even the championship in itself?
Maybe. I mean, we one clear thing that puts these two apart this week is Stocky and Hungry Throne had collectively about a 12 3/4 second gap to the rest of the field come the finish line.
Yeah.
Now that is pretty amazing. But I thought, in all fairness, I think some of that was penalties, but still, it's to have that after penalties are applied. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a penalty. Wait, was that down to a penalty? Was he really ahead by like 4 seconds?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm pretty sure it cuts it off by a pen. But that's incredible. If he didn't get a penalty, he would have absolutely destroyed Stocky at the time.
I don't know. Where we haven't got the end of the stream, I don't know whether or not. I can't remember whether or not it would have been. Oh, it's raining.
I think we need some intermediates, but
Anyway, I mean that's it for this week's Tier 1 recap. Next, we've got an interview with a very special set of drivers. So tune in for that, and then we'll go over Tier 2 after that. So this week on FRR recap, we've got Weeksy as a guest for an interview. Many race wins. How many wins do you have in FRR?
It's
quite a few.
I don't know. If we're going back quite far, probably quite a few, but not that many recently. But yeah.
Well, you're still at the sharp end, so that's a positive. So if you're okay with it, I'll just go straight in with some questions.
Yeah, cool.
So one question that I've got here is new car, new car, new season. How high are your expectations for the season, bearing in mind that you and Ivaste won claimed the Constructors title last season?
Yeah, of course I have to aim for the Drivers' Championship win, of course, but if I'm probably being realistic, top 3 in the Drivers' standings is what I'm going for, and then race wins, really.
It's good. It's a good expectation, but also good to be realistic at the same time.
Yeah.
This is from Silent Pistol, our commentator / co-host. He likes to ask not annoying questions, but questions that can be taken the wrong way. What's the feeling of trying to keep up with Stocky, a well-respected driver, on and off the grid?
Yeah, look, he's a great driver, and I'd say probably raw pace he has more than me, but I feel like as long as I can stay within his DRS, I can hang on sometimes, but it takes all of my pace to stick with him, and yeah, he's just a great driver all round, but I always have good battles with him, and it's always enjoyable to have a fight with him.
Yeah, I mean, if his pace from the last 2 rounds is to be anything, 2 race wins, neither from pole, I don't think. Yeah. How would you sum up the first 2 rounds of the season, both from your point of view and from your point of view as a team, as Aston Martin?
Yeah, the first round I did quite well. I had good pace, but then I disconnected with 2 laps to go, which was annoying, and the win got taken away, I think. And then the second round, France isn't a great track for me, and then just didn't have the pace around there and just came into a few collisions, and yeah.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I don't think France is anybody's favourite track across the whole calendar. Here you go. This one is quite a good question. In your opinion, what does it take to compete at the top of FRR?
Wow. For me, it'll take everything. The drivers are so good in here. I mean, just to name a few: Elite Risk, Stocky, Avast. They're all great drivers. So to stick with them and do that every week is very hard. But it'll take all I've got. But I think I could do it.
How much racing? So obviously, you race in tier 1 for us here in FRR. But in terms of racing in general, do you do a lot of racing outside FRR, or is it mostly here and say like a career mode or something?
Yeah, so I am in one other league, which I do on Sundays, and then I do just do open lobbies and stuff, but I do also play other games. So F1 is my main game, but yeah, I play some other games on the side.
That's good. How are you? So new teammate for this season.
Yeah.
Who is your teammate this season in Aston Martin?
James.
How are you finding James as a teammate? I mean, he's been involved in a few collisions across the last 2 races, I think, but overall he's got a fair amount of pace. How are you finding it?
Yeah, I don't doubt his pace. And, yeah, he's been looking really strong, but he's just been quite unlucky with getting into instants and stuff. But yeah, from what I've seen, they're not all his fault.
No, it's just wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately. But yeah, definitely a man with a lot of pace and should be a great teammate to sort of race alongside you, and either you push him or he pushes you. Either way, you're going to both progress in terms of racing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now I'm having to think of questions on the fly because nobody's written any more down. What made you choose to race in FRR and to have that weekly commitment of a Monday evening?
Yeah, all right. The drivers in FRR, they're both fast and consistent, and they're clean, which is really what I look for in drivers. So yeah, they're really good to race against, and it just makes it an enjoyable experience on Mondays.
How do you feel as a whole? Do you feel that the servers run well, that it's a nice place, it's a welcoming place, that we're inclusive?
Yeah, I definitely feel the league is a very nice place to be. It just makes everything much more enjoyable on and off track.
Just a few small things about yourself. Obviously, your gamer tag is Weeksy and then load numbers. What's that? 6 numbers. But yeah, just like a few facts, like hobbies, interests, whatever. What flag do you race under?
Yeah, so I'm from Britain, England, and I just main hobbies is F1, football, that sort of thing. I don't really do that much, but yeah, just my main hobbies in England. So obviously support Lewis Hamilton in F1, and then obviously England as my national team for football, and then I support Liverpool as my football.
Yeah, seeing as you're a Mercedes fan, I think you'd get on with Silent quite well. Absolute Mercedes fanboy. It's quite funny if you listen to the Britain podcast, you'll hear it. It's a whole few minutes of him just Mercedes fanboying, which is quite funny.
Don't even get me started on this season.
Yeah, that's right. I'm quite good at pushing silence buttons. So, I haven't really got any other questions. Thank you so much for coming on.
That's all right. No problem.
It's good to have you on. You're the first driver, other than Brad and Stocky, that we've had on. So the first person that doesn't sort of take on a managerial role in the server purely from a driver's perspective, what it's like being part of the server. So thank you for coming on.
No problem, my pleasure. I can't wait for this episode.
So this is the Tier 2 segment for France. Unfortunately, there wasn't a stream this week, so it's going to be a short recap for Tier 2 this week, as I can only go off of what I saw driving the car myself. There was a safety car. Sorry, but we'll go through qualifying. Qualifying was okay. I don't think there was any major spins or anything like that. I think it all went relatively good. I believe Wekaz once again on pole. So, unfortunately, his race ended the same sort of way as Britain. He couldn't really convert his pole into a win. There wasn't anybody majorly out of place from qualifying apart from Tom Lock down in 17th. Tom Lock and Do You Vibe down in 17th for Tom Lock and 15th for Do You Vibe. But they made up during the race. Onto the race, relatively clean start. I think there might have been one spin through contact, actually off foot into turn 1. There was ZH Acid was span going into what I believe is turn 4. Going through turn 5, the stewards deemed that Do You Vibe cut the corner and hit the rear of Acid and then knocked him round. I think the rest of lap 1 was relatively uneventful. There was a safety car a few laps in between Do You Vibe and who's the other person? Between Do You Vibe and Bad Boy, going into the chicane off of the back straight, the chicane that separates the two straights. Then once again, I believe there was some nice close racing, good racing. There was a few bits of contact between drivers throughout the entirety of the race. But as far as I'm aware, it's the same as last week. Some good battles, some good nice wheel-to-wheel racing. There was then, I think all pit stops went fine. I think only 2 or 3 people got penalties from speeding in the pit lane, and then I think it was 5 or 6 laps from the end. There was then another safety car. I believe it was a Haas car. Span and hit a wall. And then that caused a safety car 5 or 6 laps from the end. Safety car came in with 3 laps to go, and then it was just a dash to the line, and in the end TTV came out on top. There was quite a few penalties this week from different infringements and contact, the main thing being pit lane infringements. So the the finishing order from the actual race was quite different once all the stewards had their input, and it meant that Tom Locke got what I believe is his first podium of the season. Yeah, Tom Locke finished in third. So the finishing order for France for Tier 2 was TTV Laysjack, Night Owl once again retaining the championship lead. It's a good first two races for Night Owl in the Aston Martin. We'll just see if he can hold his lead going after Barcelona. And then in third was Tom Locke in the AlphaTauri. A good showing from AlphaTauri, P3 and P4 with Tom Locke on Wekaz. Overall, apart from the two safety cars and the few bits of contact in between, a relatively boring race this week, or uneventful race this week from Tier 2, as France quite often can be. So with that marks the end of this week's episode. I'd like to thank Silent Pistol and Adam Foran for helping me once again with this week. That's pretty much it. I hope you'll have a lovely rest of your day and tune in next week for FRR recaps episode about the events that go on at the Circuit Barcelona de Catalunya. In other words, Spain. Thank you.